I think the number one issue men have with women is we don't feel like it's a safe space created for us to express ourselves. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. Like with women, when they go through things or when a man does something that she doesn't like in a relationship, she has free reign to express to him that she doesn't like it whenever and however she wants, right? And if it's too crazy or whatever, we just chalk it to, oh, she's a woman, she's emotional, But as a man, we have to kind of tiptoe around a woman's insecurities when we're telling her these things. Okay, watch your tone, don't talk too loud, don't be too abrasive. So a lot of men just get to the point like, you know what, I'm not even gonna do it. I don't even feel like arguing. So I think that is what we wish could change and what could improve more when it comes to women. But a lot of women are not open to it.
So I want you to elaborate on that, because you've spoken a lot about accountability and the differences that, men and women go through and what we are responsible for versus what they are responsible for, at least what they're allowed to get away with. There's a lot of things that you said about that. Why is that such a pain point for you in a lot of the conversations you have?
Man, to be honest, I think it's such a pain point because that's the main disconnect between us. We communicate a lot, but oftentimes that communication is one-sided. It's typically her communicating, us listening. And because men are so used to just being criticized and being, I guess, held accountable for our actions or our lack of accomplishments or whatever the case may be, we're kind of used to it. So when our girl is telling us, hey, you need to improve on X, Y, Z, we take it differently. We take it like, oh, okay, well, I never thought about it like that. I'm gonna go back to the drawing board. I'm gonna fix it.
Right.
But if the situation is flipped, because women are not used to being held accountable and are not used to being criticized, and most women don't take criticism well, if we just gonna be honest, that closes the door for men to communicate. And when we try, oftentimes we'll get immediate rebuttal or immediate flipping it back on to what we're not doing, more so than them taking it in like, you know what, okay, I never thought about it like that. I'm going to try to work on these things. But women get so defensive immediately that a lot of men just shut down. It's like, well, damn, what is the point? And a lot of men get kind of belittled for communicating things that say we may not be comfortable with in a relationship, or, say for instance, like us being heard, our voice being heard in a relationship. A lot of men don't feel heard in their relationships. And the reason we know it is because men will tell each other, because we all going through the same thing. But a lot of those men won't tell their woman that I don't feel heard because it sounds quote unquote girly or female. You know what I'm saying? Men are expected to just kind of take our discomforts to the chin. Hey, that's part of being a man. You stick your chest out, you tough it out, you do what you got to do to take care of her anyway, take care of the family anyway. And we'll get to your needs later. Oftentimes the woman gets her needs addressed on the spot. And I feel like that's the main disconnect between us.
It's crazy you said that, because like I've actually experienced that like firsthand a couple times, right? At least when I was like in my 20s, right? Where I felt like it was safe for me to like express any form of like vulnerability with the person that I was in a relationship with, so on and so forth. And I remember vividly, like I think in 2 occasions when I kind of expressed like some form of vulnerability, the person, I'm not gonna name any names, but they know who they are. Like they deliberately said like, yo, you sound like a chick right now. You sound like a girl right now. Right. And to me, that kind of reinforces the idea like I don't have the room to be emotional. Like I don't have the room or the stage to show any type of expression or any form of like vulnerability in a genuine way, because if it's anything that will make you look weak or anything that makes you look, unattractive to your partner, it's basically a no-no, right? Versus us, we might be more accepting of it because we take on the role of the hard person in the relationship, right? But like, how do you even really combat that? Because this is normalized and it's not really a new thing, right? Because for generations to come, fathers of fathers of fathers has had to be really hard. So it's not like we came from ancestors of like really emotionally mature men that can like effectively communicate their emotions and it's fully accepting. Why is it important now versus before?
Man, to be honest, I think it's important now because this is the information age, and a lot of those generational curses we are starting to break. And the main ones being communication, main was being women's rights, women's abilities to provide and make money and different things like that. So we living in a totally different world than what we used to live in. And now I think it's on us to change. You know, me and the guys have been talking about this a lot in regards to, you know, how do we get over this hump of like men feeling so, you know, contained, or, you know, to where our feelings are not being heard. I feel like it's on us to change. We have to make it cool for men to be expressive, and not just expressive on accomplishments or things we can stick our chests out about, or sports or money or a car that we got, whatever the case may be. No. We got to make it normal for us to, you know, voice our concerns like, hey, look, this doesn't make me comfortable with you. You know what I'm saying? And whether it be with our girl or with our boys, because a lot of times we don't really get too vulnerable with our boys either. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that plays a part in us not being as close as we may think we are. But there are a lot of boundaries. And I feel like, you know, it's on us in this generation to change those things. And once we change it with each other first, then it'll be easier to change within our relationships, because we won't feel guilty doing it. Because if I can talk to my boy and tell him, hey, bro, I don't feel like you've been being a good enough friend to me, bro. I don't feel like this is a mutually beneficial friendship. Like, that sounds crazy for me to say out loud right now. Right. I'm talking to two boys. Yeah. But that's a problem, because that actually happens a lot.
Even in your social group?
Right. A lot of times it'll be like one-sided friendships. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, can you take me over here? Hey, bro, can I borrow such and such? Hey, bro, can I do this? But when you need something, they got every excuse in the world. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the friendships are not as mutual as they should be. But as a man, you kind of got to just, I'm going to just take that to the chin, you know, whatever, man. He wilding, whatever the case may be. I'm going to take that to the chin. I ain't going to express that to him. But that has to change. You know what I'm saying? And that's in line with men being expressive in our relationships as well. We got to like just prepare for the bumps and the bruises that's going to come with it. But at the end of the day, we set the trend of what's tolerable. And it's going to be on us to dictate that in relationships. If we start moving that way in relationships, women are going to fall in line, because we are leaders. We are the leaders of this community. So we got to start moving accordingly.
See, what seems a little bit difficult to digest in that whole conversation is, like, I imagine there's instances amongst your friendships where you've had to hold back expressing any emotion on something, right?
Definitely.
So men are very competitive, right? In a lot of ways, when men get together, like, we push each other's buttons just to test the strength of your manhood, the strength of your like rigidity, right? Yeah. We crack on each other. We like poke fun at certain things. That's just the nature of how we relate to each other as men, and how we gauge the strength of our manhood to each other.
Yeah, that's our love language.
It is, right? Which is wild to me, right? Wild to me. And I have a friend right now. I remember one time I was, I think it was my 30th birthday. I flew down to go see him. Well, I flew down to go skydiving with a bunch of friends or whatever, but he lived where we were flying to. And the way I said hi to him, like, he was at a restaurant waiting for me. And I pulled up, and as soon as he turned around, I tackled him to the ground and started wrestling, homie.
Right.
I had him in a chokehold. Then he flipped me, and we're in the restaurant. Chairs are clearing out. Right? People are like, what is going on? And we just like exercising a lot of aggression, and we having fun with it, but we wrestling, right? Yeah. Like, my haircut's all screwed up now. And then at the end, we just like dab each other up, and then we continue eating. Like, if you saw that from like a helicopter view, you would be confused.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But like, that kind of stuff it's not just entertaining to us, but it kind of feeds our masculinity. Yeah. Right? So how do you be that type of person and blend it with someone that's capable of being emotionally vulnerable if you're also having this quasi competitive nature with your boys? Like, how does that work?
Well, it's a situation where we got to walk and chew gum at the same time. We got to learn how. You know what I'm saying? It's long overdue, because if you think about it, with your close friends, right?
Right.
Like, most of the relationship is what you just described. It's us, chest bumping, wrestling, arm wrestling, throwing each other across the room. But if ever one of us is in a really dire, serious situation, we can make that phone call. But, hey, bro, man, my you know, whatever the case may be, bro. Hey, I ain't got enough money. I don't know I'm gonna pay my bills, or you know, my sister just died, bro. I don't know what I'm gonna do, bro. Can I come stay with you for a little minute? Like whenever it's like serious stuff like that, we know how to flip that switch and be like, all right, man, my bro really need me right now. So I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna do what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, and it's just understood.
Yeah, but that's, to me, I feel like that only falls under the realm of like your close friends, right? Versus like, to your point, I think a woman can do that to a larger audience. You see what I'm saying? For instance, like if you are on the side of the street and something happened to you, right? And you're a woman, you shed one tear, there's like 20 people coming to your aid. 20 people. Right. Right? As a dude, you could be bawling, crying, you could be bruised up, right? On the street. No one's coming to you. In fact, they're going to steer clear of you or probably poke fun at you for like being like a loser or something that you couldn't have handled yourself. Like I saw like a social experiment done where they had like, I think a woman was being like verbally attacked by this guy, and like he wasn't hitting her, but he kind of like, you know, grabbed her arm, this, that, and the third, and everybody was like coming to the rescue, doing all this crazy stuff, you know, and she was like crying and stuff like that. And they flipped it, and they had the dude coming out, and it was a girl. She was hitting him upside the head. He was just like, you know, just like all boohoo crying. People were laughing. You see what I'm saying? So I think with your boys, I think you might have more leeway to do that, but you would have had to build like a lifetime relationship to have that runway. But I think, to your point earlier in this conversation, a woman will have a larger runway outside of her friendship groups, and it's a natural thing that is nurtured. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it, and it's because of the fact that she's just a woman. Like men are programmed to protect women. So if it's a scenario like you just named where it's a man and a woman and the situation is between them, then you're right. Yeah, everybody's gonna run to the woman. Or if she's doing too much to the guy, we're gonna sit back and laugh because in our head we don't really feel like he's in real danger. Right. But flashback to like middle school or high school, whatever the case may be. Like we all knew a kid that was in school that was getting bullied.
Yeah.
Right. But me, the type of person I am, I'm gonna step in and stop that. Hey, bro, y'all chill, man. Leave dude alone, man. Right. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. That's a you know, way that I express my concern for the situation, right? Sure. I wouldn't just sit back and just laugh at a dude that's getting bullied. But by that's you. Whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So, right. But what I'm saying is that I use me to say that it's possible.
Sure.
Saying for us to have empathy, because that essentially that's all it is empathy. I don't know this dude from nowhere, but I don't like people bullying people. That rubs me the wrong way. And because I feel like I'm who I am and I'll be able to handle the situation wherever it gotta go, then I'm gonna step in and be like, hey, y'all chill, leave dude alone. You know what I'm saying? But that's a way of me helping him. That's a way of me emoting feelings and empathy. So I say that to say that it's possible. But we have to, as men, take a more firm role and I guess deconstructing and reprogramming the mindsets of people in terms of like sympathy for men or empathy for men. Right. Because in the past, there just hadn't been much.
But see, that's a tough one because if you use yourself as an example, right, you might have had the emotional maturity through certain experiences, maybe upbringing, or just people that were around you at the time, right? But I think as a collective, right, this is just an opinion, but as a collective, I don't think it's a natural thing for you to look at a woman's suffering equally as a man suffering.
No, of course not.
So my thing is, even though there might be some outliers like yourself or anybody else that might want to step up and be the emotional beacon, why do you feel it's a misrepresentation between the two? Because it's not going to be as easy as, okay, it can happen. My question is, why doesn't it?
It doesn't happen because we have to be reprogrammed. Like we are programmed to think the way we think as a masses. I've used this example a million times. Today, right now, if we are in a room where a function is going on and there are kids running around and a little girl falls, everybody's gonna run up to this girl, pick her up. Oh, well, baby, you sure you okay? Da, da, da. If a boy falls, it's get up. What you crying for? Boys don't, men don't cry. You know what I'm saying? But how did we get that?
Yeah,
that's programmed in us from a kid, from the ages of the kids I'm talking about. So when we fell as a kid, we got that. Hey, boy, get up. You a man. Men don't cry. Men don't show emotion. Men, you know what I'm saying? Men wipe that off and keep going. So that's programmed in us. Right. So it's gonna take reprogramming for us to change that. So it's possible. We may not see it in our generation, but we can plant the seeds for further generations for us to be able to express ourselves more often and have a bit more empathy. But it all comes from teaching shit. We gotta learn our mindset from somewhere.
Yeah, but do you feel as though like that mindset, although could be considered negative now, was effective for what was going on in the past? Like when there were we're talking like wars, famine. We're talking about like people who had to like deal with what nature brought you when you were like nomads, being chased by predators and so on and so forth. Right? I can't see a world where your emotions are going to solve those problems. Right? I think you have to be a little bit more hardened in order to survive, as well as make your family and the rest of your tribe survive. And if we evolve with all of those things programmed into us, and those things also lie in the bed of like what makes us men, which is our masculinity, right? How do you reprogram something and still make it a viable thing when you still have to compete in some way, shape, or form? How do you do that?
Well, the thing is, like, two things can mutually exist.
Okay.
I think we speak in absolutes. In reality, even those men back then, they had emotions. Men today, they have emotions. Men are damn near as emotional as women, but we channel it in more deconstructive ways.
Yeah.
If you look at like murder rates and killings and shootings, you know, different things like that, like men are more prone to kill you over a woman than they are money. Right. Which logically, which we supposed to be, we would be, okay, if you playing with my money, then that's way more reason. But I done seen dudes get robbed and take it to the chin. But if somebody smashes girl, she ready to shoot up the whole apartment complex. Men are emotional, but it just comes out the wrong way. And I feel like that's what we got to change. That's what I mean by it's possible. We have it in us. We just channel it improperly because of how we was raised and how we was programmed.